All right. Whoa. Okay, it's been a while since I posted any pull-up videos. I actually ended up not working out for seemed like a month, maybe 5-6 weeks. I was just doing other projects and stuff, and now got a little bit of a change in my schedule, but I'm not able to work out as long as I was for a while there when I was really getting in good shape. So just bound to lose some of my strength and endurance that way. It's just going to happen. So, but I'm getting back into my new routine, and I'm going to be using my weight vest and my ankle weights more to try to get my strength back. And anyway, I'm still working on my novel, Protein Man. It's coming along slowly but surely. I'm rewriting chapter 24 as we speak. I had it really well down. There was a really big action sequence, very cinematic, but the more I thought about the situation, the more I realized it kind of didn't make sense. Like the characters could have just avoided that situation altogether, and the reasons why they ended up in that situation, it worked, but in my head I just kept thinking, nah, people could read this and say, well, why, basically they were in this military convoy and they ended up stopping, and then they get caught up in this battle, and it's like, well, they didn't have to stop. So I'm rewriting it now to where they have to stop, and that just makes more sense, but it also changes the dynamics because now their vehicles are disabled and stuff like that. In the original chapter, there was stuff going on where they got into their vehicles, and there was, all sorts of crashes and things. So I'm having to rework that, and it's very frustrating, but all part of the process. And but otherwise, doing good, feeling good. I've stepped up my nutrition a little bit. I'm taking more supplements for my health now. Just vitamins, things like that. I don't mess with creatine or any other type of stuff. But taking glucosamine every day now, because I still have some pain in my knee from time to time. I'm doing some more lower body stuff, trying to get back into that too, because not training lower body sucks. Anyway, other than that, what a week we're all having, huh? We lose Ozzy, then a day later, Hulk Hogan. So Ozzy was rough for me, because there's just a collective sorrow around the Ozman. He meant so much to so many people. I know for me personally, in childhood, I spent hours just sitting in my room listening to Black Sabbath mainly, but also his early solo stuff, which I really liked. And you just think about everything he went through, being called a devil worshiper and being implicated as the cause of these, unfortunate suicides and tied into satanic panic and all of that. It was all so ridiculous. I go back and watch some of those interviews and stuff, and it's like, he was just a musician, he was just an entertainer. And it just wasn't fair. And then you think about the drugs and the alcohol and all that he went through, plus just the weight of his own fame coming down on him, and the strife with this band, and then losing Randy Rhoads and all that. He went through a lot, and I never watched the Osbournes, of course. I've seen the clips of Shut On and all that, but I don't like that reality TV stuff. But I will say the show, I think, humanized him, and everybody knows Ozzy now. Even people who don't like heavy metal or listen to any of that stuff or cared about him in the 80s, they know who he is now. It humanized him. It showed him as a father and a family man and all of that, and then he just became. He was always iconic, but he really became this just icon, just someone that everybody knew and cared about. I mean, even people who don't like his music, they liked Ozzy. He was just a lovable guy. The way he talks, man. Everybody can do his accent, and so losing him sucked. Now, Hogan, you know, that's a rough one because as a kid, to me, he was a superhero. Like I'd watch it, back in the '80s. I mean, it wasn't cool to admit that you liked wrestling, and it was more for kids back then anyway. But people knew who Hulk Hogan was because of Rocky 3 and things like that. He was big. He was just everywhere, and uh, watching him was like watching Superman. Every match you got behind Hulk. You got chills when you heard Real American, and he's coming down the aisle with the flag, and and he was just huge. 6'7" with the huge arms. He was larger than life. He was just a big guy. Even without the steroids, I think he would have been a huge guy. And then later on in life, it got ridiculous with his own reality show, and flaunting his daughter, and recorded saying the N-word and the sex tape, and oh man, and then all the crazy shit he says in interviews, like he auditioned for Metallica, or that he was friends with Lars Ulrich and Lars wanted him to play in Metallica. Just all that stuff. But I think underneath it all, he's just another guy. He didn't sign on to become an icon. It just happened to him, and it was not easy for him to deal with. He screwed up here and there. So, but you want to talk about the world of pro wrestling, no one was bigger than Hulk Hogan. I mean, wrestling went mainstream in the late 90s, and then you had Stone Cold Steve Austin, you had The Rock. Of course, The Rock's now a huge movie star. Everybody knows The Rock. But Hogan did that at a time when wrestling wasn't mainstream, when it wasn't cool to like wrestling. And so he is the biggest. There's no one will ever eclipse the Hulkster. Terry Gene Bollea and John Michael Ozzy Osbourne. Just two huge parts of my childhood and a lot of other people's childhood. So losing them both, not just in the same week, but there was one day separating their deaths. That's shitty and ridiculous. And the Grim Reaper needs to take a fucking vacation. That's what I think. So see you next time.